Saturday View with Ronan Berry. With thanks to Lumcloon Energy, pioneering innovation, powering progress. LumcloonEnergy.com. Call 0818 300 103. Text or WhatsApp your Saturday View to 083 3010 103.
Well, a very good morning to you. It's Saturday the 18th of January and you're listening to the Saturday View with me, Sally-Ann Barrett. Coming up here on the programme over the next hour. Do you know how to keep your children safe online when it comes to technology and social media? Well, we'll be hearing from a leading cyber expert on a new programme she's bringing to the Midlands for parents, teachers and children. Also, this Monday is officially termed Blue Monday, but how can you avoid feeling the effects? We'll be hearing from a Midlands life coach on the positive steps you can take to plot a positive path for the year ahead. Well, it is an absolute honour to be with you this morning. It's me, Sally-Ann Barrett, here with you for the next hour. And I am standing in for Ronan Berry, who is, as you probably know, presenting the Midlands Today programme this week. So we have a jam-packed hour ahead for you, but it's very important, if you wouldn't mind helping me out this week, my first week on the show, if you would get involved in the programme. There's a number of ways for you to be able to do that. You can phone us here at the studio, where the lovely Nellie is taking your calls this morning. She's on 0818 300 103. Indeed, you can text or WhatsApp the studio here directly on 083 30 10 103. That's powered by the home of Offaly's top-selling car brand, Lamb Brothers Toyota, Arden Road in Tullamore. Also, you can send us a message on the Midlands 103 smartphone app on our website, midlands103.com. And you can find us at Midlands 103 on Facebook, Instagram or TikTok. Or if you want to get on the keyboard, you can indeed send an email straight to studio now at midlands103.com. But first this morning, well, I suppose a new government, a new programme for government and a number of new faces set to take over their new portfolios. And all week we've been hearing about who may land what ministerial job as the coalition partners are getting ready to govern. Now, all will be revealed this coming week, but the Midlands is expected to be well represented, with at least a junior ministry for Athlone Kevin Boxer-Moran, possibly Fianna Fáil's Sean Fleming and Laois, while current Fine Gael Minister for Enterprise Mullingar's Peter Burke is tipped to return to Cabinet. Now, here's what Peter Burke had to say to Ronan Berry on Friday's Midlands Today programme about what lies ahead.
Obviously, it's up to the party leader to make a decision, and it is difficult because, as you and I know, even in club football or hurling, when you're lining out and trying to pick your team to go out on the pitch, it's never easy. So we wait and see what next week brings. You try and have two economic ministries among each of the two big parties. So obviously Fianna Fáil will have finance, which is important for them, public expenditure for ourselves, and then you have the mix between the rest, with trade part of the Department of Foreign Affairs now potentially going over from the Department of Enterprise, Trade and Employment. So there's all those, combinations to work out when you're trying to form a programme for government. But we see it as a very, very important department because it really is the breadwinner for the government. That's what I always say, because it's the department that manages the policy for our businesses, for our multinational sector, that bring in the vast resources that we have now as an economy and trying to ensure that they're dispersed out to the community. So it's important that if anything were to happen or go wrong in terms of the economy, it's one of those departments that's in the front line.
Now, that's Fine Gael, current Enterprise Minister Peter Burke speaking to Ronan Berry on Midlands Today there yesterday. It very much sounds like he's hoping to hold on to that enterprise portfolio, but much speculation that he won't and that he will be on the move, but possibly kept in Cabinet. Now, one ministry that is widely tipped to move from Fianna Fáil to Fine Gael is that of agriculture. And with the crucial period ahead for farmers in the Midlands, what is the sector hoping for from a new minister? Well, I'm delighted to be joined on the programme this morning by Henry Burns, who's chairperson of Laois IFA. Good morning, Henry.
Good morning, Sally-Ann. How are you?
Very well, very well. Now, I believe you had a nice celebration in Laois. You did have your annual get-together, so I appreciate you taking the call from us this morning, Henry. But we know it is going to be, an exciting week in terms of what we're hearing in terms of these ministerial appointments. From your perspective, we're hearing the name of Martin Hayden, a current junior minister there in the Department of Agriculture. Does that sound likely from what you've heard in inner circles?
It seems likely. It does seem likely. They'll be surprised at this stage. It seems to me that, we're not in the business of picking the minister, in fairness, as Peter Burke said there on the piece. That's up to the party leaders. But it seems likely. No one has, I suppose, if you look at it, no one has come out and said otherwise, and that it might be someone else. But we'll see. There could be surprises in this yet. And who knows? Who knows? But look at, we just hope whoever the minister is when they're next week, when they're announced, that they hit the ground running. And there's a lot of work there to do, obviously, and there's a programme for government, but some of it's light enough and specific. So look at, certainly though, we'd be happy enough in some ways that a lot of what we met all the party leaders there, but pre the election we met the Minister for Agriculture, the opposition spokespeople, the independents, we met them all really, and we'd be happy enough in ways that we left an imprint in the programme for government. At the same time, a lot of what we asked to be in there is in there, so look, it's about getting it implemented now.
But much criticism, I suppose, from different groups, be it carers or others, when they saw the programme for government, that, it's big on ambition, but short on detail. Definitely.
And one thing I pull out there straight away is, say, for instance, the two big parties, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, committed in their manifestos, say, it's just one specific, just to make an example of it, and it goes through the programme for government, that to put in 300 million over the next 5 years into the tillage sector, which would be, there or thereabouts what we were looking for the last couple of years. And that was by the two big parties. I don't see that the independents would have been against that. And then, yes, it's in there. They will support the tillage sector over the next number of years, but the specifics of how and why they'll do it is not the way you'd like to see, And but look, we work on that. We work on from that. There is a commitment there, and we'll be holding them to that commitment. But in general, yeah, there's like on all the sectors, the funding rates and everything, they're not specified in the programme for government. But I suppose that's up to us on a yearly basis now, and that has never changed. I suppose you lobby on the basic on at the different budgets like coming up. You just have to make your case, but the work goes on. But yeah. In general, when you read through the programme for government, there's lots of aspiration, but the specifics maybe aren't there the way you'd like to see. One specific that is there, to be fair, and we're happy enough to see that there's, a big commitment in there to maintain the nitrates directive going forward, and that's very well spelled out, to be fair, within their control what the government can do here. And the other one is that, they continue to say that they will do everything to try and be against the Mercosur deal. There are two big things that are on the agenda at the moment,
Yeah, and I do know that the new EU Agriculture and Food Commissioner, Christopher Hansen, will be attending the 70th IFA annual general meeting this coming week. So those are topics that will be top of the agenda when your group is meeting him.
Yeah, and we're meeting Wednesday and Thursday this week. That's the annual general meeting, and that usually lays out the case for the year ahead. We usually have all the heads of the political people in, either the Taoiseach or the Minister for Agriculture. We'll be still hoping that they'll visit us at this stage, and we're there for the Thursday, so we will know by then who the Minister for Agriculture is. Yeah, it is great now to have the new Commissioner. Our President, Francie Gorman, he told me when he met him, first of all, in Brussels, he was blown away by this guy, the new Agriculture Commissioner. He's from Luxembourg. He's from a farming background. He lost his brother to stress, farming related stress, the pressures of farming in Luxembourg, and he seems to have a feel for farmers and what they're doing and seems to have a grasp of what needs to be changed. Look, that's a very different thing than actually doing it. Politics is, even for him, it's difficult to get, he's only one commissioner in one area, but it's a good start to have a guy in charge that seems to have a grasp of agriculture. We'll certainly be interested to hear what he has to say. It's good to get listen to what he has to say, and for him to hear what we have to say at the start of his commissionership, because we're now, like it or not, we're heading into the redesign of the CAP for 2027. That's the way it is. It's never ending. And our new CAP, we're in the present CAP only 2 years, but again, he's finished, that commissioner, will be into a new CAP, and that'll decide what the future of agriculture is going to be like from, the next 5 or 6 years. And we'd like to have an imprint on that, and it's very, very important at the early stage to get your message in. There's a lot wrong in European agriculture. If you remember back to this time last year, all the way into February, farmers all across Europe were out on the streets in mass numbers and pre the European elections. And that did make an impact. That did have an impact on the make-up of the European Parliament this time. And certainly we wouldn't like to see a situation where we're very disappointed with Ursula von der Leyen running off to make the Mercosur deal there. It seemed when France and a few others were at a weak point. France, who has been consistently against this. So we really do want to reiterate the message to Christopher Hansen that, look, at all those protests last, all that anger from farmers on the over-regulation, that needs to be taken into account now. Now that there's a new European Commission elected, new MEPs elected, and they're freshly elected, they shouldn't forget all that anger was there before the election, and they should take that on board, because the European project is dependent on listening to your member states, listening to people and taking on board. They don't want to get to a position where they're too far away from the people that they represent.
Have we had strong enough representation at a European level for the agriculture portfolio, do you feel, Henry?
Well, look, it's a bit unfair of me to comment, but look, in one way, certainly, Janov Wassenati, the last commissioner, he kind of, he seemed, whether rightly or wrongly, he seemed to get sidelined a lot, and whether that was because of his position, because of him, or because of what, we certainly need to see that change. We've seen both the environmental commissioners and the trade commissioner sideline the agriculture commissioner a lot, and we don't want to see that happening again. It's very clear at the moment, actually, of all times at the moment, product prices are quite good. Milk, grain, beef, sheep, well, grain could be better, to be honest, but beef, sheep prices have never been as historically high, on the basis that food is needed, there's demand for food. And unfortunately, the age profile of farmers is going up, and as the age profile goes up, it's like everything in life. You slow down a bit, you don't produce as much. You might stay farming, but you do, your best years are from your 20s, 30s through to your 50s. You're going to drive productivity hard. That's where your productivity in an industry is going to come from. It's a very physical job, and you need to be young for it. And we need to keep the youth coming in, and that's not happening the way we need. And some of the reason for that is the way agriculture has been looked after, the framework which we work within, the regulation, the uncertainty, like the nitrates directive, the whole over-regulation, and also the actual financial reward what we've historically got for what we have, where we barely were covering the cost of production. There's no way to run an industry. I think there's a slight realisation in Europe now that food security going forward is a big issue. Proper, good, wholesome food, safe food, which we produce in Europe, but it costs a lot of money to produce, and it has to be paid for. And we need someone on our side, speaking on our side, before it's too late.
Finally, and briefly, if you don't mind, Henry, I saw reports last night that, another possible case of foot and mouth disease in Germany. A lot of concern about that. I mean, how concerned should we be about that here? How insulated are we?
Well, look, I suppose, first of all, to say the case in Germany seems to have been isolated, which is unusual, to say the least, but they seem to have it contained so far, and hopefully that will remain to be the case. It'll be interesting to see when the research is done where it came from, but it does seem to be contained. The Department of Agriculture have assured us that no animals, and they're very clear on this, that have been imported from Germany, from that area of Germany, since the incubation period would have expired. There's an incubation period for the disease. So we look at it, sends a shiver down all our spines, really, because remember back to 2001, where we had the big outbreak in England, in the UK, and it came over here into Northern Ireland and down into the south into one case. We certainly, it sends a shiver down the agriculture community, and in fairness, through the whole community, it meant a huge amount of restriction for people in general. We hope we're not going back there. It doesn't seem like we are, but we need to just be careful on biosecurity. Everybody needs to just be careful, and hopefully we'll learn in the coming days and weeks what happened in Germany, and if it remains the way it is, that it was a one-off case.
Henry Burns, Chairperson of Laois IFA, many thanks for joining us on the Saturday View this morning. Well, do you have an opinion on those points that were raised there by Henry? What do you think? How important is the agriculture portfolio, and who gets it to you and your family here in the Midlands? Let us know, 0818 300 103. Text or WhatsApp us on 083 30 10 103. OK, still to come, did you gift technology to somebody within your family or one of your maybe siblings' kids, and you're not sure, are they being looked after safely online? Do their parents know how to handle that gift? Well, coming up after the break, we'll have somebody who'll give you on the tips on what you need to know, and you'll be surprised at some of the stats you'll hear. Stay with us here on the Saturday View. The time now, it is 10:23. Right now, it's 7 degrees in Tullamore in County Offaly.
Saturday View, with thanks to Lumclume Energy, pioneering innovation, powering progress. LumclumeEnergy.com.
You're very welcome back to the Saturday View with me, Sally-Ann Barrett. I'm sitting in for Ronan Berry this week and next week. And do please get involved here in the programme this morning. You can phone us on 0818 300 103 or text or WhatsApp us on 083 30 10 103. Now, you might have made a number of resolutions for yourself this January, but for many parents it can be a good opportunity to resolve to make more of an effort in controlling exposure to technology and social media for your kids. But just how do you do that in a way that keeps your child or teen safe? And are you actually aware of the potential impact that unrestricted access to the internet and particularly social media may have? Well, I thought it might be timely to try and answer some of those questions and maybe give you a little bit of advice this morning. I'm a parent myself, and I know there are serious challenges for all of us now in terms of how we deal with this without trying to trample on the independence that our children are obviously trying to develop as well. So, well, let's welcome to the show this morning Aoife Noon. She is CEO of Noon Cyber Services. Good morning, Aoife.
Morning, Sally-Ann. Thanks so much for having me.
Not at all. You're, I suppose, an expert in your field, really, but this is a field that you've found yourself in over a number of years. Take us back, because you had a different corporate career to where you are now.
Just to give a little bit of background here, I have been working in the corporate world. I was working in the corporate world for over 20 years, designing user access on systems and locking down access to systems across the corporate world. And I guess I was just looking over to one side saying, oh my God, here's kids been handed access to these smart devices. There's such stringent controls in the corporate world and regulations. And
to stop cyber attacks
and all that. But even from a quality perspective, like even any devices, put into the corporate world would have to be tested, quality assurance, any, products going into the human body. And then you're looking at this going, oh my God, what about the mental health of kids and even adults? What they're the content. There's no content monitoring. They have full reign access, and there's no way in hell this would happen in the corporate world. So I'm looking at this, and I could see, and I knew from talking to parents and teachers and friends of mine that there's major issues now happening here, from cyberbullying, from self-harming. You could see the their self-image been impacted, and I could see where this was going without any controls, any regulations. So I decided, okay, hang on, I've got my skill set here in the cyber world, and then I had done a high-performance mindset program in 2020, and it blew my mind how a change in your mindset, and when you see how you can change your results with that, I thought,
so just how you view the world.
Absolutely.
A mindset program to kind of rewire,
yeah. And then I realised, okay, if I can merge these skills that I can teach kids, like there was one particular tool, my God, if I knew this when I was 12, the resilience you would have, and also backing yourself to, try new things, go for things. And if somebody said something nasty, how would you deal with that? And I thought this tool was amazing. So I decided to take that mindset, those mindset skills, and merge it with my cyber security skills and build this program called Think Smart. So it's a cyber...
So it's not just what not to do, it's how to do things.
How to do it. So it's basically how to think about this. So hang on, like how you think about things every day. So your thoughts, your feelings and your actions every day will create your results in life. So what thoughts are you having? Like, what are you looking at? Who are you talking to? What kind of things are being fed to your mind every day? How's that making you feel? And what actions are you taking? Now, when you're on your gadgets, what thoughts, feelings and actions are they creating? Mm-hmm. What are you seeing online? How's that making you feel? What actions physically is it causing you to take? Mm-hmm. So when you explain it to them, and my God, if you see, like I've been running this now for the last 2 years, and it's award-winning. It's a national award-winning program.
Well, you better tell us a little bit about it. I mean, it's a kind of a three-pronged approach that you've developed.
It's a three-pronged approach. So, if you're creating anything, you have to make something that's going to make an impact, in my view, whether it's, in the corporate world or, personal world. And again, awareness is key. The first thing is you have to be aware of the root causes of the issues. Technology is great, and don't get me wrong, it's, there's great benefits to the connectivity and all that. But if you don't realise the dangers that are there that come with that, you have to realise that before you can actually take the right actions, whether it's online or offline. So Basically, the three-pronged approach is parents, teachers and kids all need to be educated and empowered with the right toolkit, digital skills and also the right mindset. And the first thing they need is awareness. So there's a great saying, you don't know what you don't know. So if parents don't know the dangers that are out there when they give those devices, gaming devices, who are your kids gaming with? Who the profiles. If you don't know what are there predators online that could be accessing through.
Yeah, and that's one I was very
messaging?
wary of now because finally we decided our 9-year-old could have a Nintendo Switch. That's what he was looking for.
Yeah.
There was no mention of mobile phones or anything like that, and he's our oldest. So how do you navigate that? And immediately after reading through what I had seen you doing, I switched off Wi-Fi. I went through the parental settings that he wouldn't be able to game online with other people.
Because that's the other great thing. I start all my talks with parents. So I do the parents talk, the teachers in the schools, and obviously the kids. Then I run the workshop with the kids. So you have a three-prong approach. So I won't go into the kids until I've ran it with the teachers and the parents.
Yeah.
So they know first, and then the parents, I'll give them a tip sheet and rules. They'll go home and sit down with their kids. They'll explain it, and then I come in. So Aoife's coming in now, and this is why we're going doing what we're doing, and then they understand it more, and it's protecting their potential when they realise, hang on, we're protecting our potential here. Your focus, your ability to focus in class, your ability to focus on a pitch if they're into sports or music, drama, whatever they're into. So when you explain this to them, it's really powerful because then they realise, okay, this is why mom is actually taking access or dad's taking, why we're limiting this. So the saying I always start off my talks with, when you hand a child a smart device, you give the world access to your child.
Oh, that's an awful thought.
Yeah. So parents have come up to me afterwards going, oh my God, you're after waking me up here. I actually thought I was giving my child access to the internet. This is great, the world. But actually, you're right. They are actually, I'm giving the world access to my child. And unless I'm monitoring that, unless I'm seeing who they're interacting, because 33% from CyberSafe Kids Ireland report, 33% of young kids are gaming with strangers online. And I will ask the kids in the primary school, okay, hands up here who games with strangers online, and 1/3 would put their hands up.
In primary school?
In primary school, yeah. And I'll ask them, so this is mainly 5th and 6th class, I'll also ask them, okay, hands up if you've spent an hour gaming online or an hour on your devices. Now keep your hands up 2 hours, 3 hours, keep your hands up 4 hours. Anyone do an all-nighter? And I'll have 2 to 3 kids with their hands up that they've done all-nighters.
Okay.
So the impact that has alone on the mind, and even when I did that mindset program, the crucial stage of development of kids' minds is between the ages of 4 and 12. Really, they're learning their behaviours, right? And it's still their minds develop the whole way up between 20 and 25, right? 21 for girls and 25 for guys, as in their mindset and their actual brain development, their cognitive abilities is key. That's a key stage in their life. So if they're being fed horrendous content, how's that making them feel? If they're like, the mental health impact of this has been phenomenal. Because
we know the regulation has fallen well short of what it needs to be.
And I have been up. So the programme won the Digital Impact of the Year award last year, right? And it gave me opportunity to get to Leinster House, and I have a team of researchers behind me. So I have teachers, I have people in the sports world. So we've been testing this out, and we've been seeing the impact of making changes from a mindset point of view, but obviously the digital safety side. So we got an opportunity to address all of this with Anne Rabbitte in Leinster House last April. And my God, we were 2 hours. We were supposed to be an hour there. We were 2 hours, and we really laid it out. Like, this is what's happening. This is the impact. The mental health impact is horrendous. It's 32. When I looked at my home county here in County Galway, and Planet Youth are, they're doing huge work. They run surveys with adolescents, and 32%, I couldn't get over, 32% of 15 to 16-year-olds are admitted that they're self-harming.
Shocking.
And now we've 82%. You look at the CyberSafe Kids report, we've 82% of 8 to 12-year-olds online with social media accounts, right? So they are coming down the track. I explained to parents, this is exactly, if your kids are on those apps, if they're on Snapchat, TikTok, any of those apps, they are built with algorithms to push horrendous content to your kids, right? And that's been proven. The research is there. Eating disorders, all these things. Oh, you're not pretty enough, you're not good enough, your diets. Oh, they're pushing diets because kids will click on those links. Mm-hmm. So,
but even devices being used by kids within, the same class to communicate with each other, and how they're actually doing that.
And and the behaviours and the cyberbullying that's coming out of that. And here's the other thing, and I think it's really, like, again, back to family values are being lost. And, when you explain this, okay, how would you behave in person with someone? Well, what's your family values here? And what's happening is years ago, we always went to our parents. You know, if you're feeling vulnerable or you're upset about something, so you had a parent-child connection. But now what's happening? Kids are going through their devices. They're going. It's peer-to-peer. They're going to their friends for advice first, or if they're feeling vulnerable or they're afraid to open up, then they're not saying anything at all. So 23% of kids are actually not opening up to their parents, and 53% of them, again back to the CyberSafe Kids Ireland report, 53% of them are not actually telling their parents about the stuff they see online because they're afraid the parents are going to take the devices off them.
I'm going to say something now, and it may not be popular, but I have to admit from my own perspective, I had to take a look at my own usage of my phone in front of
Monkey
my
see,
children.
monkey do, yeah.
Yeah, because when they
Gotta
see
lead by
you
example.
doing that you're sitting there scrolling and not engaging. I was on the train one day and I remember sitting down and I looked around me in the carriage and absolutely everybody
Head down.
And in the phone nobody spoke to anybody else anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit of a chatter, hence radio, broadcasting, etc.
Yeah.
But there was nobody to engage.
That's the other key point, the ability to communicate. We were never more connected in the world, right? But actually kids have lost the ability to communicate with each other, but also with the elderly or older generations. They're not able to have conversations. And that's one key thing I would say to parents, they come home in the evenings, like, put the gadgets down. If you're having dinner, sit down, talk to them, how's your day?
Yeah.
Have that set time where you're putting the device away, lead by example. And it's funny, I was talking to a school yesterday, a secondary school in County Galway, big school. They've just implemented where no phones in schools, they're actually said, right, no phones in the schools at all. But what I thought was really interesting, the teachers aren't allowed to take them out either during the day.
Yeah.
So it's like, we can't go and preach to the kids no school and then no phones, and then we're taking them out. She said it was really interesting. The first 2 weeks they struggled. By week 3, 4, they don't even notice they don't have them. They're not taking them out, and there's way more interaction. So again, it's really key to your point there. It's monkey see, monkey do. Like, we lead by example.
That's great. Well, if you have any questions for Aoife while she's with us now, you can phone Nellie on 0818 300 103, text or WhatsApp us on 083 30 10 103. So Think Smart, Aoife, is the name of the programme.
Yeah.
I hate to give you praise, but you've won a national award for it as well, so you're doing something right.
Yeah, it's both for me. Yeah, I mean, like for me, it's not about me, and I'd say it straight out. It's not about me; it's about the programme. And I suppose, to put context around that, I guess what really opened my eyes on that one was there was 30 companies shortlisted. I was only a year, about 13 months up and running with it, but I could see the impact, and I knew from the feedback from the students, the parents and the teachers themselves that it was having the desired impact in changing behaviours and locking down controls and all that. So what opened my eyes about that one was it was shortlisted down from 30 to 5, and it was up against Fáilte Ireland. There was big companies up there, and it was just me. And then I realised, wow, there was 17 independent judges that I never met who thought that this was so important and who voted for this to get the message out there, and that, if we don't make the changes now, 10 years' time, we're all going to be looking back going, oh my God,
and
did we really hand these devices? Did we really give them that would our parents have landed us into a bar years ago, left us there, or given us cigarettes or given us alcohol? The reality is, if you give them these devices, there's mental health issues. The research is there. Drugs on Snapchat, unbelievable. That's where the sale of drugs, kids will tell you that. And there's a movement now, actually, Gen Free Kids movement, which is what's actually important to point out here. And part of that movement is there's about 12 different companies across, from CyberSafe Kids, Richard Hogan, child psychologists and therapists. Owen Cleary's has started this movement, and Phil Moyles, and a bunch. There was a bunch of primary schools in Greystones who got together and said, okay, let's stop smartphones.
Yeah, they did it themselves.
Unbelievable. They started off, but this is actually after blowing up now, and I've seen a huge movement since I started this in 2 years ago, January 2023. From my latest talks I've ran, and again been connected with the guys in Greystones, and they're trying to create a national movement here where parents are coming together and going, no, enough is enough. Government regulations is not there. The government have brought it into their manifesto, which is brilliant, because we brought this to the Minister House. You need to put age verifications, you need to lock them, you need to put onus on those social media companies to, if they're putting content to make sure that what's on their platforms is child safe, have you controls in place. It suits them not to put controls because they make money. Kids are clicking, they're curious, they'll click on everything. So that's why they're called clickbait, those ads. So again, it suits them not to lock down. It's about money. They don't care about your kids. They do not care about your kids, and that's reality. They care about making money. So again, this movement now I'm seeing is where parents are coming and going, enough is enough. And when you show them, you create the awareness by, I run this talk, and I'll give you an example. I ran a community talk. I ran it in a school, and a school asked me, a few parents come on to me going, oh my God, Eva, I had absolutely no idea of what you just showed us there. The mental health impact, the legal implications, kids, young adolescents getting in serious trouble, from content on their phones, this kind of stuff. So they asked me to run a community talk in Mario and Moore, and we said, okay, let's just throw it out there and see. It booked out, it was 130 spaces, it booked out immediately.
Yeah.
And then on just on the back of that, only this week, the parents group there got in touch and told me that, you're not going to believe this, the 3 feeder primary schools that are going into the local secondary school, we asked them in a survey, can we all have agreement here? Who agrees with not giving our kids, our 5th class now, we won't give them smartphones or social media apps in 5th class, or we'll delay it as long as we can into the teenage years. And out of 156 responses so far, 146 parents agreed, said absolutely not. They're not getting phones, they're not getting social media accounts.
That's great. Time is starting to come against us. So I just want to give people a few tips. I know you're going to be rolling out this programme now in the Midlands in the coming months, so people can watch out for Think Smart, Noon Cyber Services and Aoife Noon. I know there's
Think
a
Smart
website
Cyber,
as well. So quickly, Aoife, a couple of tips that people could do now in January if they have devices in the house. Yeah,
so good digital hygiene. So, you're talking about... we try to eat healthy, and that's great, but we need to have healthy digital habits as well. And it's not, I wouldn't even see this as a resolution, it's an absolute must to protect your child. So first thing I would say, no phones in the bedroom. There's 33% less chance of your child developing sleeping issues and actually being contacted. You don't know who your child's talking to at night. So no phones in the bedroom is a massive one. And the whole communal thing, if you're allowing them devices in their bedrooms, you can't see, if something happens online, you can't see their facial expression. So keep devices to communal areas, especially when they're so young, until they've learned how to use those devices and be safe online. So I would say no device in the bedroom, absolutely not, as number one. Parental controls, making sure. So if I went to every house here in the Midlands and knocked on the door, would you be able to show me the parental controls? I did a digital audit in your home. Parental controls, have you any on them? Are you monitoring the time on them? And the other one I'd say is social media apps. I would not allow your kids on social media apps. Any children should not be on social media apps. I would say 14, 15-year-olds plus. You see Australia's after banning the use of social media. It's going to be very interesting now what's going to happen. So I would say no phones in the bedroom. Like I said, set the screen time limits, monitor. Absolutely, pick that phone up and monitor. Pick those devices, see who they're in contact with. Can you tell me who they're gaming with? Do you know what are the games age appropriate? Is the content on the gaming? Fortnite for kids, like the aggression, all that kind of stuff. So I would say, but the other important point is create that safe space. Tell them you can discuss any issues and keep reminding them, come to me if something happens, because talking is huge. It's physical. You go to the doctor, you get stitches, you get help. It's talking that helps prevent the mental health issues. Okay. So that's a massive one.
There's so much we could talk about. We might have to have you back at another stage, I think. But give us the name of the website, Aoife.
So ThinkSmartCyber.com is a new website now. Noon Cyber Services as well as my own corporate site, but we've created a new website called Think Smart Cyber, and you'll get it on Instagram as well. And also, if parents want to reach out, there's a contact form there, or schools or teachers want to hear more. I can show them the results, and if they want to reach out to me, you'll catch me. There's a good form there they can fill out, and if they want me to send me the tips sheet, I have a tips sheet here. If any parents want me to send it on, I can forward that on as well. Just contact ThinkSmartCyber.com.
It's a scary world when it comes to this for us as parents, but there is help out there. Aoife Noon, CEO of Noon Cyber Services and creator of the Think Smart programme. Thank you for joining us on the Saturday View. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be talking about Blue Monday and how to avoid it.
Saturday View, with thanks to Lumclume Energy, pioneering innovation, powering progress. LumclumeEnergy.com.
All right, you're welcome back to the Saturday View here on Midlands 103 with me, Sally-Ann Barrett. 10:47 already. The hour is absolutely flying by. If you do have something to say about the show this morning, do let us know. You can phone Nellie there on 0818 300 103, or indeed you can text at me directly on 083 30 10 103. Now, we have had a WhatsApp in from one of our listeners this morning talking about the piece we had before the break with Aoife Noon, CEO of Noon Cyber Services, who's developed that Think Smart programme that she's bringing to the Midlands in the coming months. And this caller says, would like to say a huge thank you to Aoife Noon for doing such amazing work in this area and proving us parents with, first of all, awareness of what's going on in this space, and how it is impacting on our children. So grateful for the tools and resources she shared through her talk and workshop. It has made a huge positive impact on our lives. That is really great to hear, listener. Delighted that you got in touch to tell us that, and thanks for going to the trouble of sending in that message. So those programmes will be coming to schools and community groups across the Midlands in the coming months, and you were given the details of the website there as well. Okay, the excitement of Christmas has come to an end, I'm afraid to say. We've all returned to our routines now, with sunnier days still feeling so far away. So it's no wonder that January can feel particularly tough, because it's the month with Blue Monday, which, as it happens, is next Monday, January 20th. But what if you don't want to be overwhelmed by a wave of sadness in the coming weeks? Well, I've found just the person who can give us a few tips to help you beat those January blues and lift your spirits this morning. Barry Williams, life coach and Reiki practitioner of Monumental Health in Portlaoise. Good morning.
Good morning, Sally-Ann. How are you?
I am very well. Now, we are looking to you to help us avoid those bad feelings on Monday, Barry. So what do we need to be doing?
Okay, so I suppose just to highlight what Blue Monday is, it's the belief that the third Monday of January is considered the most depressing day of the year, unfortunately. It's been a term that's been around since 2005. But it's a really good opportunity to raise the whole awareness around those low moods and feelings that can creep in January. Very often people are starting to feel the post-holiday, post-Christmas lows that can creep in as our diets change and the cold weather sets in on us. So it's a really good opportunity for us to all start speaking about how we can lift our mood and what activities we can do to try and to make us start feeling better in ourselves.
So, it's kind of a marketing ploy, I really feel, isn't it? We kind of put ourselves under pressure with having to make these New Year's resolutions. They're a bit naff, really, aren't they? By the 20th of January, they're often well gone out the door. So can we use next Monday as a chance to maybe forget about that, shove it under the rug for another year, and maybe reset and look ahead?
Absolutely. I'm a big believer in that. The New Year's resolutions can often make people start to feel worse, because they often feel by the 5th or even the 10th of January that their commitment to maybe give up smoking or to exercise more has already failed. So I don't think New Year's resolutions are great for that, because if we start our year with and then fail within a few days, then we can often start to feel worse about ourselves that we're not achieving. So I think it's important that when it comes to Blue Monday, that we set ourselves achievable goals rather than setting ourselves the end goal. So if, for instance, you wanted to lose weight or to exercise more, rather than saying I'm going to walk every day, to say 3 days a week I'm going to walk, or twice a week I'm going to go to the gym. That's more achievable, because very often our lives are quite busy and we aren't able to make that concrete commitment of every single day I'll walk or every single day I'll go to the gym.
And the walking is one that is particularly good, isn't it? I find, just if you're having, a day where you're just feeling a bit, to get out there, just feel the sun on your face. And we hear of the benefits of vitamin D so much.
Yes, so vitamin D is really, really important. And in Northern Europe, in Ireland, unfortunately this time of year, there isn't a massive amount of natural light or even sunlight. So on a day like today, it's overcast, but really just get out for half an hour, 40 minutes, let the light onto your skin. Vitamin D, it is the sunshine vitamin. That's its nickname. Many people will take vitamin D supplements throughout the winter, and that's really good as well in terms of keeping our mood up. But exercise in itself, that walk, I've always said to clients when they've come to me that no one ever comes home from a walk and says they felt worse than when they started. It's getting those muscles going. It releases the endorphins. It doesn't have to be a hard slog. It can just be a light walk. And while you're doing it, also to be quite present, in the sense that putting in music, people like to do that, but also as well sometimes not, just to walk and to see what's around you. The new life is starting. The leaves will soon be coming back on the trees, and the daffodils will be out. And it's just to take in those signs and those signals that the summer is coming, spring is coming, it's on its way. And I think that helps lift our mood in a big way.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the podcast now, I have to say, when they're walking, even from a safety perspective. Having maybe music going in your headphones is not the wisest, depending on where you're walking. But this time of year as well, do we tend to reassess our career choices? Is it a time when people look to maybe do something different?
Absolutely. And I suppose as a life coach, I get a lot of people coming to me that maybe are feeling a little bit stuck in their job or not sure where they want to go. And I would sit down with them and we would look at areas of their life where they feel content and areas of their life where they feel that maybe there could be an improvement. And very often that's around career. Maybe they're not moving up the ladder as quick as they want, or they're having relationship issues within work. And then they start to reevaluate, is that where they want to work? So it is that time of year people start thinking, okay, they didn't want to move job before Christmas or November, but now they're thinking, okay, maybe I'll start looking for something different. And I think it's well worth looking at your job and seeing, is it fulfilling you? Is it where you want to be? Or are there challenges that you'd like to maybe to conquer within your career path?
Time is coming against us, Barry, but just finally, I suppose we have to remember on Monday when all of this is happening, we'll be hearing it on news bulletins and other programmes as well. And I'm even slow to give it air talking about it, but in a positive way. Just remind yourself, it's one more day.
It is one more day. And I would just say to people just to get out this weekend, to get a little bit of exercise, get out maybe into the woods or walk along the river, and just to appreciate and I suppose just to look for the positives that are there. It also was a big thing as well is just to look at your diet. This time of year, we're cutting back on sugar. We've had a lot of alcohol, a lot of sweets during the Christmas period, and our bodies start to crave sugar. And when we cut it out of our diet spend to reduce it down, we can start to feel the mood drop. So just to be mindful of that and introduce some healthier sugars from fruit or vegetables will just help our bodies deal with those cravings.
Yeah, I was saying earlier, I did actually finally bin the last few celebrations there yesterday. They just have a tendency to hang around. It's terrible.
Isn't it? Absolutely. Look, there has to be a time where you draw the line and say, okay, they need to go.
All right, okay. Okay, timely advice indeed. Barry Williams, life coach and Reiki practitioner there with Monumental Health in Portlaoise. Thank you very much for joining us on the programme this morning. So look, it's my opinion, it's pretty much a marketing ploy, isn't it? But it's no harm to have a few tips that when this is coming at you on Monday to be able to ignore it and not fall into the trap of feeling bad about ourselves, because we don't need an excuse. Just get out there, get the runners on and stick the headphones in. Thanks to Barry for that. Thanks to everybody who was on the programme this morning. One message in here, well done on your conversation about phones. Phones are taking over people's everyday lives. It is time that something needs to be done. I was visiting a family home. All the people in the house were on their phones there. Every little conversation stopped. Well, thank you so much to everyone who took part. You can text or WhatsApp us with any comments on 083 30 10 103. That's it for the show this morning. It's been a very busy one. Thank you to you, the listeners. I'll be back with you next Saturday, Sally Ann Barrett, and I will talk to you then.